Barcelona half marathon, the dream that just didn't quite happen. So welcome back to the final part in this 3-part video series where I've been documenting my journey out to Barcelona half marathon. As you guys know by now, if you've watched part 1 and 2, you'll see that sickness got the better of me and I wasn't able to run, but I still had an amazing weekend. And so in this video, I want to share with you a little bit more about that sickness, tell you how I found the weekend, how it was organized, structured, how to get there, how it was all put together, and basically just how incredible it was, because it was absolutely mind-blowing. So without further ado, let's kickstart with the sickness. So I need to wind back the clock about three and a half weeks where this all began, which is where I just sort of picked up a classic winter cold. I think I did a long run with Matt and I told him at the time I didn't feel particularly well, but I managed to get the long run done, and it was just one of those situations where it felt like every other cold that I've ever had during winter, and I didn't really think too much else of it. However, the week before Barcelona, things started to ramp up slightly. I was still able to get my runs done, my sessions done, hit paces, and I still felt okay, but there was just something not quite right, and I knew this cold was sticking around a little bit longer than normal. And I was at that point wondering about having a rest at some point. So I rested on the Thursday, and then I had a big long run planned on the Friday. I woke up and the reality is on the Thursday, I kind of talked to myself and said, really, you maybe or maybe shouldn't do this long run. But I knew that once I'd done this long run, that it would basically be my week complete and I'd be happy, and mentally I'd be able to check that box that I got another week complete before a down week traveling to Barcelona and the race, and then another down week the week after, as I had to take some time off to travel back. So I wanted to get out and get that run done. I woke up on Friday morning and felt relatively okay, but the reality was I wasn't okay. I went out and did the long run, and you might have seen that video titled, I can't even remember what it's titled, something about failing a long run, and I managed to just about make it to 2 hours. And for the first time in 10 years of running, I had to call my wife to come and pick me up. It's never happened before. I felt absolutely horrific. I've run plenty of marathons and bonked, felt dehydrated. It was a very, very similar feeling to that. And I just had absolutely nothing left. From there on in, it just got worse. I managed to get out for an hour on the Saturday afterwards to wrap up my week, and I logged a good week, I suppose. If you count the 2-hour run, it was meant to be 2.5 hours. It was only 2 hours. So if you count that as still a decent run, it was a solid week. But after that Saturday moderate run that I did, I was just absolutely, I felt okay after that, but by the evening, I could feel internally like I was just heating up. I had a temperature. I really wasn't feeling well. At that point, I was going to bed at sort of 8 o'clock at night after I put my lad to bed. I was going to bed very early, and it just wasn't pleasant at all. And from there, Garmin really didn't like me at all. I'll share a video on screen now of my stats, my stress scores and all of that stuff. From that Friday onwards, you'll see as I scroll through that video how high everything was. And I just permanently felt at that point like I just had a temperature all the time, a very low one, but it was enough just to throw your body off a bit. I was coughing a lot. I had a very swollen, what felt like a swollen windpipe. It just hurt to breathe in and around here, and everything was just kind of exacerbated after that week of running. I knew at that point I had to throw in the towel for running for the week, and I just thought to myself, just get out to Barcelona. Hopefully you'll feel better, do a shakeout run, and see how you feel. And if you have to just jog around on the Sunday, then that's absolutely fine. Just go out there, experience it, and have a holiday. And suddenly the mindset had to shift from going out there for 5 days with the focus of a race and a bit of a holiday around it to complete switch up of we're going for a family holiday, and if I get a chance to run a half marathon, I will. And it was a good way to shake things up because we had an absolute blast out there. But the reality was I just wasn't getting better. And it wasn't just me and the family, there were lots of my family members that were sick as well, exactly the same symptoms. We were all suffering with it. It seems like it was some kind of respiratory virus. It's very much attacked what feels like the windpipe. It's very swollen. It still hurts to breathe now. My heart rate right now, as recording this, is 88. And that's one of the biggest symptoms that I've had over the last couple of weeks, is such a high heart rate. Just a classic sign that my body's fighting something. And although on Sunday night after the half marathon, so the half marathon was on the Sunday day, I actually got my first good night's sleep on the Sunday. and Garmin actually rewarded me some good stats for a good night's sleep. I did actually feel a lot better, and then that's kind of when things started to slowly get better. Monday night, I woke up Tuesday morning as we were about to fly home, and again, I felt okay. And I said to myself at that point, oh man, I wish this had happened 2 days earlier so that I could have just gone and jogged around a half marathon. The reality is that I got home, and then on the, apologies there, that was the Monday. On the Tuesday when I was actually home, I went out for a half an hour jog, and by the end of half an hour I was absolutely wiped out. And then Wednesday I did another half an hour jog or just over, and I felt a lot better, and things are slowly getting better, but the reality is I'm still dealing with a high heart rate. It's something that plagued me throughout that week and meant really that it just wasn't a viable option to run the half marathon. Now, although I'm over a lot of that now, I have to say that it's been a long slog. I'm entering week 4 now, and hopefully by the end of this week, I'll start to feel even better. So let's talk about the event itself, because it was absolutely mind-blowing. So just navigating Barcelona and getting around to the expo and then to the race and all of that stuff. So I was staying at the north of the city, just above Sagrada Familia, or however you say it, and I was staying up there very close to the yellow metro line, and it was very easy at that point. If you are familiar with the London Underground system, you will be absolutely fine on the Barcelona metro system. It's exactly the same, the maps look the same, the way it works is the same. It was very much home from home, so it was very easy to get around on the metro. We bought travel cards, so that made things a little bit easier for the first couple of days. What you have to bear in mind though is the expo is quite far west of the city, or not quite far, but we had to take, or I had to take, a yellow metro line down, change and get on a red metro line out. So it is about 2 or 3 kilometers away from the main park where the Barcelona half marathon starts, but once you're up and out of that station that you get off at, it was a relatively simple walk straight over to the expo. So that was fine, and it was a good expo, very spaced out. It wasn't as full and buzzing as I'd expected for Europe's biggest half marathon, but there were some good stands there. There were lots of Brooks stuff there. So it was well attended by Brooks and a few other stands, but with it being in a massive, what felt like almost air hangar, it was very echoey, very roomy, and didn't feel quite as full as it could have been. But it was very simple to get to. Everyone spoke English, which was amazing. So I tried to speak a bit of Spanish, but I got all my bib, t-shirt and all of that stuff, and it was great. Got back on the metro, got back home, and then making my way to the start line. There are a couple of metro stops that are very close to the start line, and buses, of course. I chose the metro. So on race day, when I went down to film, it was very, very easy to get to. Again, from the Airbnb that I stayed in, just getting down to the start line was nice and easy. Got off, I'll put the label of the station on screen, and from there it was about a kilometre walk to the start area. So as a runner, I've been told it's flat and fast. Every one of you have come up and told that to me. It was it was a great day, great weather, a bit windy for a few people, but apparently there's lots of buildings out on the course which sheltered a lot of you from the wind for the majority of the time, so it was still a very fast day. As a spectator, it was very easy to navigate around the course, which was a great thing. Myself and my wife managed to split off and do different sections of filming, which was great. It really helped produce the vlog that it did. But from navigating around, it's very easy to get from the start line back up to around 6-7k, because it's straight up the road. We're very close to the Arc de Triomphe, and so that was nice and easy. And then the course goes out to the east, and that's where my wife was, out that way. And then of course they come back and finish very close to where they started. So if you're a spectator, it's very, very good. And from what I saw and the areas that I went to, the atmosphere was absolutely electric. There were a couple of quiet patches, but where there were crowds, the atmosphere was just like a carnival. It was absolutely wonderful. It put hairs on the back of my neck. It was just one of those situations where I was really gutted not to be able to run it, because I can imagine soaking all of that as you're running through the streets of Barcelona. Soaking all that up must have been amazing. So in terms of that side of things, it was really, really good. The end funnel shoot where I stood and watched a lot of runners come through, was also really well organised from what I could see, and then they're all funneled out again out by the Arc de Triomphe. So what would I do differently if I was to go out again and try again, which I would really love to. But the only thing I can say in general is that I would probably try and stay where we stayed. Was amazing for holidaying and easy access to the metro and stuff, but for going out for a shakeout run, it wasn't ideal. There weren't many places to go for, or there wasn't at least a good loop where you weren't crossing a lot of roads. Towards the south of the city, near the park and near along the seafront, would be ideal to stay. Long stretches of tarmac and pavement. I've been told, or was told, if you saw the first part of this video series, that, and excuse my pronunciation, but Avenue Diagonal is pedestrianised, but there was so many roadworks on there that as a tourist I was getting lost and then ended up on the pavements and then crossing roads. And I didn't end up staying on that avenue for a long period of time. I gather there's a big chunk of that that's pedestrianised, so when that's clear, I can imagine that's a great place to run. But for me, being at the north of the city wasn't quite as ideal for getting shakeout runs done, so just bear that in mind if you're considering travelling to Barcelona for the purpose of the half marathon. Then it might be worth thinking about staying towards the south, or if you've got a travel card and you're prepared to just jump on the tube or the metro, whatever, just get on the metro, travel down towards the beach area, get off there, and then you've got a lovely stretch of tarmac for you to go and run. So overall, I've got to say that the Barcelona half marathon looked absolutely amazing, and from my perspective, it was a dream race. I would love to go back there. I've probably said that a million times by now, but I also have to say that it was a wonderful city to have a holiday in. Both myself, my wife, the kids, we all had an absolutely amazing time, came back feeling refreshed. And the one thing that struck me out there is just how happy and polite and nice the Spanish people were. They were always very helpful to us, most of them were anyway, and just walking along the beachfront in the middle of February, seeing the beach bars packed, it's 18 degrees, it makes you realise just the quality of life is just so much better than the UK. I'm not afraid to say it. We came back here, it was raining, it was miserable, and it just doesn't put you in that kind of feel-good mood that we had out in Spain. But what it did do is completely lift my spirits and make me feel like, oh, it's only a couple more months and then we're really into spring and we're going to get that good weather back, hopefully. So yeah, overall I couldn't recommend it highly enough, and I'd love to hear your stories. If you were out there and you raced it, please do drop a comment below. Let everyone know how you got on. Do you recommend the race, or have you raced better? Is there a better race in Spain? Let me know. Do drop a comment. It'll be great to hear from you down there. That's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do consider giving it a like, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. I appreciate you guys sticking around for this 3-part Barcelona series, and I will see you on the next one.